Ms. Wagner for 5 minutes.
I thank the chair for yielding. Dodd-Frank, let's be very clear, created a world in which size equals survival. The Democrats' law reduced competition in the banking sector. It imposed barriers to entry for de novo or new charter banks and saddled financial institutions with approximately 400 new requirements that hit small, mid-size, and regional banks particularly hard. In short, Dodd-Frank concentrated more risk in the nation's largest institutions and incentivized them to be as large as they are today. That is the direct result of Dodd-Frank. I have some questions, some yes or no for both of you. We'll do a little rapid fire here, and there'll be an opportunity for you to elaborate also, gentlemen. Mr. King and Mr. Rogers, is there sufficient competition in banking? Yes or no?
Yes. Representative, yes.
What about among community and mid-size institutions? Sufficient competition? Mr. King?
Yes, Representative.
Mr.
Representative, yes.
Now you can elaborate a little bit. How has competition, Mr. King, changed since Dodd-Frank, and what would competition look like a decade from now?
Representative, that is an excellent question, and competition has changed dramatically since Dodd-Frank. And it's primarily around the dramatic changes in technology. Our world is changing really, really fast. We all see that through Amazon and other changes in the retail industry and other industries. It is profoundly changing our industry. As I said in my opening statement, historically, for most of my careers in banking, if you had a good branch-friendly touch type of relationship with your clients, that was satisfactory. That is no longer okay. Today, you have to have huge investments in technology to meet the requirements of consumers, which is real-time satisfaction.
Mr. Rogers, briefly, could you?
Representative, thank you. I would say also the competition is not only from banks. So the competition has come from fintech companies.
Yes.
It's come from a variety of different outlets. So the ability to compete, as Mr. King described, from a technology standpoint and a service standpoint, is not just banks. It's the field of competition has expanded quite significantly.
So competition has changed, most particularly for community and mid-sized institutions. In your industry broadly, Mr. King, what effect has Dodd-Frank had on community and regional banks?
Representative, I believe Dodd-Frank, broadly speaking, has increased the requirements in terms of all of our activities. It has increased our cost. And there are many aspects I should quickly say that are very good about Dodd-Frank, so I'm not ridiculing the entire bill. I'm saying that it did, in fact, increase our costs.
And what kind of effects did this have as a result on consumers?
The effect on consumers, Representative, is to cause the process to be more burdensome in terms of time and requirement and documentation in many cases, especially in the mortgage area. And as a result of that, it drives up our cost, and in some cases, that cost is passed along.
Mr. Rogers?
I think, Representative, that there are many things of Dodd-Frank that were positive for our industry in terms of elements like stress test and building more capital in the banking system, which makes us much more solid today than we were pre-crisis.
Are consumers better off now than they were 10 years ago? Consumers. Mr. King?
Representative, I would say in some cases they are, and in some cases they're not.
Mr. Rogers?
Representative, in some cases, I believe consumers are having much more access to technology, and I think the reasons we're here to talk about this merger is to be able to invest in the type of activities that will benefit consumers going forward.
Well, that's certainly what I care about, the benefit and the cost to consumers and to those consumers that are in Missouri's 2nd Congressional District. What do you believe, briefly in my time that I have left, are some of the greatest issues facing regional banks today? Mr. Rogers.
I think some of the greatest issues facing are related to cyber threats, being able to invest and keep up, being able to invest and keep up with the largest banks in the country to be competitive from product and service and capabilities.
Mr. King?
I would say, according to agreeing with Mr. Rogers, cyber is number one but very much related is having the skill to be able to invest in the technology to be able to provide
The scale, did you say?
scale.
The scale. So size,
Size.
sadly, is equaling survival. I yield back. Thank you.